They told you your imagination was just fantasy, a child's plaything, nothing real. But what if the greatest lie ever told was that your mind holds no power? What if imagination is not illusion, but the blueprint of realities yet to unfold? Everything you see around you once lived in someone's silent mental theater. Every invention, every structure, every revolution began as a flicker in the mind. Imagination isn't a distraction. It's creation's first whisper through your inner cosmos. Close your eyes now. Picture a glowing sphere resting calmly in your open hand. You see nothing, yet something happens. Something trembles quietly in another dimension. That vision, though unseen, takes form beyond the physical, realer than we dare admit. Thoughts are not empty. They are electric signals encoded with divine creative command. What you visualize becomes a structure of energy in subtler planes of existence. Imagination is the astral pen, and your mind the scriptwriter of all that becomes. Why do dreams sometimes feel more real than waking life itself? Because in sleep, your thoughts roam free, unshackled by third-dimensional density. Your soul moves through the ether, drawn to the visions you most believe. And those visions, they aren't random. They're answers to what you've imagined repeatedly. The astral realm is shaped by thought, constructed by emotion, and sustained by belief. When you imagine with clarity, you're literally forging structures in the invisible realm. Ancient mystics understood this, as above, so below, as within, so without. The world inside your mind is not metaphorical. It is a living construct. The fourth dimension, the astral, is composed of thought, shaped by your mental intent. That's why strong imagination is the seed of true manifestation, not empty daydreams. Visualize a forest and feel its breeze. Something responds, forms, and begins to live. Your faith breathes life into it, and faith is just imagination with emotional weight. Now ask yourself, why would modern society mock imagination as childish and naive? Because if you knew your mind could birth reality, you'd be impossible to control. Your visions would challenge authority, reshape paradigms, bend the very rules of existence. And so, the system teaches obedience, not creation, memorization, not visualization. It replaces imagination with repetition, numbing the third eye before it ever awakens. But your power remains dormant, waiting, hidden behind the veil of disbelief. Every spiritual master, from ancient Egypt to Tibetan monks, practiced creative visualization, not as entertainment, but as sacred ritual, the art of conscious dimensional design. They closed their eyes not to escape, but to build what would later emerge. They knew the mind was a projector, and this reality just a screen. What you believe and feel with certainty, you impress upon this quantum canvas. Faith, they said, could move mountains, because faith is focused imagination in motion. Do you feel chills when you imagine something vividly? That's the signal of ignition. Your energy field begins to stir, responding to the resonance of your thought. The heart and mind align, sending magnetic codes into the unseen layers of reality. It's not metaphor, it's science beyond modern comprehension, quantum mechanics wrapped in spirit. When a thought is infused with emotion, it echoes into the astral like thunder. And in that echo, creation answers, shaping future events in unseen timelines. Why do synchronicities happen more often when you focus intensely on a vision? Because you're tuning your frequency to that possibility, collapsing the wave into form. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs become the architects of quantum probabilities. You're not waiting on the universe is waiting on your clarity. Your imagination is not a fantasy, it is a command, a sacred code. But it only obeys those who dare to believe what they first imagine. Can you see now why fear is injected into every corner of your life? Because fear distorts imagination, twisting creative energy into nightmares, control, and limitation. If you imagine failure with emotion, the astral builds it with equal devotion. The system thrives on this, feeding your creative power into false realities of lack. But in secret, the ancients whispered, "The one who commands their vision commands destiny." That power lives in you still, waiting for permission to awaken. Recall a time you imagined something with deep longing, and then it appeared. That wasn't coincidence. It was delayed manifestation crossing dimensional thresholds. The time lag, that's the friction between planes, matter densifying from mind's original spark. Once the astral structure is strong enough, it crystallizes into physical reality. This is the hidden art of alchemy, not metals, but thoughts into form. Imagination is the philosopher's stone, but only if wielded with unwavering emotional certainty. Now imagine light flooding through your chest, expanding outward like a supernova. Feel it warm your hands, your heart, your mind. See it radiate into the void. That vision, felt with sincerity, begins constructing your luminous astral identity. This version of you, the one imagined in full power, is already real. It lives in a higher dimension, pulling you forward through inspiration and signs. Each time you align with that image, the veil between worlds grows thinner. So why do they distract you with endless noise, screens, and synthetic emotions? Because true imagination requires stillness, silence, space to listen to the inner architect. They bombard your senses to cut the thread between thought and divine creation. But every moment you reclaim your inner vision, you reclaim your role as creator. This is the sacred rebellion, imagining beyond what the world tells you is possible. And in that rebellion, your soul remembers its original blueprint, the divine dreamer. Even trauma responds to imagination, for you can re-script the past in new light. You are not chained to history, but to the story you continue to replay. Shift the image, rewrite the scene, reimagine yourself as healed, empowered, luminous. This isn't delusion, it's multidimensional therapy through astral restructuring. Every imagined act of forgiveness carves space for healing in unseen chambers of the soul. Your mind is the temple, your visions, the prayer, your belief, the offering. Imagination is not fiction. It is your most ancient tool of divine remembrance. When you imagine healing, your cells listen, your DNA remembers, your spirit responds. If you hold that vision long enough, your entire reality begins to bend. You're not wishing, you're commanding, not hoping, but activating quantum fields through emotion. It is this hidden science that mystics used and that modern science fears to study. because it would unravel every system of power built to keep you asleep. They've trained you to doubt your imagination, to fear it, to dismiss its voice. But every sacred book, every prophet, every enlightened being pointed toward the same truth, that within you lies the power to design your path, your world, your destiny, not through force, but through vision, not through reaction, but through internal creation. You are not here to suffer under someone else's architecture of illusion. You are here to remember your role as builder of timelines and architect of realms. Let this truth settle in your heart, gently but powerfully, with no resistance. When you imagine with emotion, you send a ripple through all 13 dimensions. That ripple echoes across timelines, drawing events, people, and synchronicities into alignment. You are not insignificant. You are a transmitter of destiny, a living fractal of source. The more vivid your imagination, the stronger your gravitational pull toward new realities. Creation is not coming. It is already happening inside you with every sacred thought. They turn schools into factories of obedience, suppressing daydreams and punishing curiosity early. Children born as natural creators are taught to trade imagination for memorized facts. Standardized testing rewards conformity, not brilliance, not vision, not the spark of divine thinking. By the time we reach adulthood, most forget how to imagine freely again. But the ones who do remember become dangerous, unpredictable, impossible to control. And that's why every dreamer is feared by the architects of limitation. Have you ever noticed how children speak of invisible friends and magical worlds? That's not fiction, it's intuition. A lingering connection to dimensions they still recall clearly. They imagine dragons, spirits, glowing beings, all real in planes adults have forgotten. When we call it fantasy, we sever their link to multidimensional perception. The child's imagination is the map, and their emotion the compass through the unseen. Protect that spark, and you protect humanity's future as creators, not slaves. Even art, music, and poetry are echoes of the imagination's contact with the divine. Artists become antennas, receiving symbols, frequencies, and blueprints from realms beyond linear space. A true painting is not just color, but vibration encoded from higher dimensions. A melody can open forgotten doors in the soul, reminding you of past lives. Creative expression is sacred because it is imagination given physical form, dream sculpted into matter. That's why tyrants always fear artists, for they carry the seeds of awakening. And when two or more imagine together with aligned emotion, the effect multiplies exponentially. This is the secret of sacred rituals, where intention and vision converge in unity. Group visualization can shift weather patterns, dissolve conflict, even open dimensional gates. That's not fantasy, it's ancient science, obscured and weaponized by those in control. But now, the veil thins, and more are remembering the secret art of imagining. Not for entertainment, but for healing, revelation, and liberation of collective consciousness. So before you sleep tonight, choose what you wish to dream into existence. Do not carry fear into the dream realm. Carry light, intention, and sacred vision. See your future self, radiant and wise, calling you through the mist of timelines. Speak with your soul in symbols, not words. Feel the answer vibrate from within. You are not alone. You are connected to all who remember the inner fire. And in that fire, every image becomes sacred. Every thought becomes a divine act. If this message stirred something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, like it. Let others remember what they were born to create. Subscribe to wake up and reclaim your power as the dreamer of dimensions.